Welcome to Threshers On Deck. He's Josh Appel. I'm Kirsten Karbach. The Clearwater Threshers wrap up play in the first month of the 2016 season, and Clearwater has emerged as one of the top teams in the Florida State League. Josh, they've done so thanks in large part to their pitching and defense.
Yeah, Kirsten, they have. And if you talk to any coach at any level, high school, college, or at the professional level, they'll tell you the same thing. Pitching and defense will win you ball games. The Threshers just came off of a 6-game winning streak, and during that stretch, their pitching staff did not allow more than 2 earned runs in any of those games. They had 3 starters also with ERAs under 2. That's just unreal production from the starting pitchers and those in the bullpen. And on the defensive side, you got to have a good defense to complement that pitching, and the Threshers certainly do. Highest fielding percentage in the Florida State League and the least amount of errors as well.
And on today's episode, we're going to touch on both of those as we take inside looks at the pitching and the defense. We'll get some insider tips on how to turn a double play with some help from Drew Stankiewicz and Scott Kingery as part of our Mechanics of the Game series. But first, Josh and I had a chance to talk to a guy whose career has taken him through Bright House Field and back again with the Clearwater Threshers when we sat down with Threshers reliever Matt Hockenberry. Matt, growing up in Pennsylvania, at what point did you realize that this was something that you could go on to do collegiately and in the professional ranks?
The national signing day, or the national day where like coaches could finally contact you and talk to you about whether or not they wanted you to play for them, was July 2nd of 2008. And when that day rolled around, I mean, I got a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls from a lot of different colleges up and down the East Coast about, you know, extending my career after high school. So it's something we definitely looked into. And then after the pecking order, Temple University was the one that came out on top.
So why did you choose Temple out of all the schools that showed interest?
I mean, I guess I kind of took it kind of like the draft. They gave me a full ride. Temple was, I guess, the right decision for me because it just broadened my horizons.
Now, going into your last year, and the last year of the program playing for Temple baseball, maybe a lot of the guys were thinking about transferring or continuing their careers elsewhere. What made you stay?
The fact that I had already been there for 3 years. So I got passed up on in the draft of, was that 2013, just because my coaches and I decided that my role could probably be better if I was out of the bullpen instead of a starter. So my coaches were kind of up in the air of what to do with me. Do we make him the third starter, or just because he throws hard, should we put him in the bullpen, try to make him a closer? So I didn't take to that role very well, I guess I should say. Struggled a little bit, so that's why I got passed up on in the draft of 2013. But then when I came back, I kind of had my mindset of, you know, proving to my coaches that I could be a starter again. Well, I think it was December 6th of 2013, they cut the baseball program. They told us in a pavilion. 6 of our guys left, and, you know, I wished them all the best as they left. It was actually a tough decision for them because they felt like they were letting all of us down. But because they left, it opened up a lot of new spots. We had a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores who were stepping into some pretty big shoes. And I took to it, I guess, pretty well because it's kind of what got me here.
So obviously you mentioned the final season at Temple. You were part of it. And coincidentally enough, the final game that you guys played as a program was in this ballpark at Bright House Field. Talk about that moment. Describe that moment that once that game ended. Because I was here. It was a very emotional time, but I never heard it from the perspective from a player who was part of it.
We were losing. We were the away team, so once the 8th inning was over, I knew I was done. It's still a complete game. But when I walked off the field, as I crossed the line, I kind of just looked up and tipped my cap to the crowd. And, I mean, this place was packed. It was like one of the first times that we played in a packed stadium. But there was a standing ovation, and I didn't know if that was just because I threw a complete game against a nationally ranked team or whether people realized this might be that guy's last start. And then as soon as that was over, the next morning, I got up, we came over here to play UCF at 6:30, and my head coach handed me a sheet of paper. It was an email from my scout, Paul Murphy, with the Phillies. He invited me to a pre-draft workout. So once we got back up north, I got off the subway. When everybody else was getting out of their cars with their parents and everything like that, I got right off the subway on Broad Street and walked over to Citizens Bank Park, threw a bullpen, and now I'm here. I put together a strand of some pretty good starts. I knew the Phillies were at every game just because I'm in their backyard. You know, they didn't have to travel far. But I guess what happened was after my pre-draft workout, you know, I talked to the scouts, told them that, you know, I'm not really looking for anything special other than a jersey and an opportunity. You have certain teams telling you one thing, and then you've got this one team that's kind of just sitting back there, kind of ready to pounce like a lion in the jungle. So, you know, I'm glad it was the Phillies just because it's got a good story behind it. I went to college for 4 years, 4 miles up Broad Street from Citizens Bank Park, and now it's a quest and a journey to try to get back there, just a city of brotherly love.
So, now on a lighter note, your hair. Got to ask you about the hair.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately for me, I don't really have the ability to grow anything like that. Your last name is Hockenberry, Mohawk. Is that the inspiration behind the Mohawk?
No, so having a Mohawk, it's more of a personality. I've always said that, you know, closers or guys that pitch in the back end of the bullpen, they just have these crazy personalities. You know, people call them psychos or they're crazy guys, whatever. It is a personality, though, because when you come out of the bullpen, you know, your job is to get outs. And I just figured, you know, if the hitter say, oh, this guy's got a Mohawk, something going on up in his head. So I don't want to say it's really an intimidation factor, but I've had one. I think it looks good. Try to keep it professional. Last year I had a skin tight one. My Venezuelan brothers on my team, they would just take the razors and literally shave the sides. And I mean, it was kind of ugly. This year I went and got it professionally done so that, you know, it's respectable.
You know I said it right before I asked him the question, but I am legitimately upset that I can't grow as great of a head of hair as Matt Hockenberry has, but to keep myself sane, I do live by the motto, don't stop bald leaving.
And the Mohawk, not the only thing that's been impressive from Matt Hockenberry this season. The run that he allowed against the Lakeland Flying Tigers on April 29th was not only the first run permitted by Hockenberry this year, but the first run that he's allowed in his last 12 appearances dating back to the end of the 2015 season. Now, you often will hear pitchers credit their defense with being a key part of their success. Josh and I had a chance to learn some infield basics as we take a look at how to turn a double play with some help from Drew Stankiewicz and Scott Kingery as part of our Mechanics of the Game series.
All right, the first thing you want to do when turning a double play is you want your positioning to be, we like to call it double play depth. It's a lot different from where you, when no one's on base over there. Right here, when you turn double play, you need to be a little shallow to get the runner out. So first, when you're setting up for the ball, you need to set step, be quick on your feet, and then there's 3 ground balls you need to do with turn double play. One to your left, right here, underhand it. One right at you, I could drop the knee. And then one to my right, a little more, little drop step right there.
All right, when you're turning a double play as a second baseman, one of the most important things is your footwork around the bag. There's a couple different ways that you're gonna be able to do depending on the speed of the runner, where the ball's fed, you know, whether or not you need to get out of the way of the runner. So one of the first ones is if there's gonna be a flip coming from the shortstop, you normally wanna, you know, go ahead and come over the bag and through, give yourself some momentum to get towards first base. So I'll show you one of those real quick. Another one you have is more if there's a throw coming from third base or if the shortstop's going to be ranging to his right side. And that one, you want to stay on the back part of the bag and then take a step back so you can avoid the runner coming in so you don't get taken out. And I'll show you one of those right here. And those are pretty much the most simple ones you can do.
One to the left, underhand. One right at me, drop the knee, goes that. And finally one on my right. Drop step. Those are the 3 basic ones. Obviously there's one in between, more in between, but those are the 3 basics I like to do. All right, they've been watching us. Let's see what they got. Drop it, drop it. Good. That was your best one yet. All right, do one more. Do it. And that's how you turn double play.
You're gonna follow through and come this way on your throw.
Yeah.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah. Barehand.
Coming in hot, but it's pretty good. On this one, you want to ground to the grounder and step back and throw it that way, all right? Feeling the grounder and just drop in that knee right there, and then you can throw it from there.
Yeah.
Perfect, that's awesome.
Uh-oh. Oh, oh no!
No.
Oh, she threw it away! No! No! Yeah! see if you guys got it. Uh-oh. Yeah!
That's beautiful right there.
Yeah, you can't even get any better than that.
All right, so what did we learn today? What are the 3 keys that we should take away from this?
The 3 keys in turning double play, first of all is positioning. Gotta be in the right position to make the play. Second is good footwork. And the third is make good feeds, because good feeds are gonna make you turn double play every time.
All right, now that we all have a little bit better idea of how to turn 2, thank you so much for joining us. A huge thank you to Scott Kingery and Drew Stankiewicz. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go over what we learned today one more time.
Well, we learned 3 things: positioning, footwork, and something you really need to work on going here on out is making a good feed.
Absolutely, and in my case, in the case of that almost web gem, completing the throw to first.
But you know, today was fun and all, but it might have come at a price because my right hamstring is killing me.
Josh, how's that hamstring doing?
You know, it's not doing well. It still hurts. We filmed this a while ago, and I think I might have to pay a visit down to Mickey in the trainer's room to help speed up this healing process because it is brutal.
Well, we're all wishing Josh the best in his recovery,
Thank you.
but a lot of fun and great experience learning from Drew Stankiewicz and Scott Kingery. Before we wrap things up today on Threshers on Deck, let's get to a check on some former Clearwater Threshers, see how they're faring in the upper ranks of the Phillies system. Beginning with Michael Franco. He played here as a Clearwater Thresher in 2013, and he's off to a strong start with the Phillies. 5 home runs in his first 22 games as the Phillies' third baseman. Another guy we had here in Clearwater 2014 was Aaron Nola. Josh, how's he faring with the Phillies?
Well, he had a couple of rough starts, but he's bounced back real nice. He's had, in his last 2 starts, 2 7-inning appearances. He's given up only 1 run over those 2 starts, only 6 hits scattered, 14 Ks and 3 walks. He's back to the Aaron Nola that we know.
Now up in AAA with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs is a guy who Josh picked as a guy to certainly keep an eye on throughout the 2016 season. And catcher Andrew Knapp, how's he faring?
Well, he's making me look really smart because he's off to a fantastic start in 2016. In 14 games, he's hitting .280, 3 homers, 10 batted in. He's scored 11 runs, and his OPS is over 900 at .919. He's making an impact in Lehigh Valley.
And up in AA with the Reading Fightin' Phils is a guy who we had here in Clearwater last year in the second half. Made a huge impact in the second half for the Clearwater Threshers and Reese Hoskins. He's started to swing the bat of late. He's hit in 16 consecutive games after going hitless in his first 3 contests up in AA. And coming off a huge game on April 29th. 5 RBIs for Reese Hoskins with the Reading Fightin' Phils. He hit his 4th home run of the season and finished 3 for 5 in a big breakout performance for the former Threshers first baseman. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of Threshers on Deck. A big thanks to Matt Hockenberry, Scott Kingery, and Drew Stankiewicz for joining us today. Thanks so much for checking in with us here on Threshers on Deck. We'll talk to you next time.